Hi, my name is Marjorie DeBrun. I am a student at MACU, which is Mid America Christian University. My professor, her name is Professor Margaret Dunn, and today we're going to be teaching just a small portion of the Bible. I have two students here with me, which is Faith and Bella.
Hi.
And the lesson today is going to be about the Ten Commandments. And we are going to be coming from the book of Exodus. And we'll go through the chapter and we'll pull out parts that we need. Today I'm going to be teaching the kids about the Ten Commandments and what does that mean to them. All right, so as you can see, the students here, they're writing out their 10 commandments so that they get ready to know what they are, and they will be reciting those 10 commandments for me. The children age group I'm teaching is around 5 to 10 years old. And basically, students, the book of Moses, the story of the 10 commandments comes from the book of Exodus. And Moses is the one that helped. God gave Moses the charge for the 10 commandments. So Exodus chapter 3, verses 16 through 17 says, God told Moses to go assemble the elders of Israel. And he said to them, Lord, he said to them, tell them that the Lord, the God of your fathers and the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, appeared to you and said, I have watched over you and have seen you. What has been done to you in Egypt, I have promised to bring you up and out of your misery in Egypt, into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. He's going to bring them into a land that is flowing from milk and honey. So which means that God is going to take them from the land that they were in, where they was in slavery, because nobody wants to be in slavery. So they was working hard and they was not getting paid. And so God says, I'm going to remember your forefathers, which was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because God made a promise to them. And he said that he would keep them safe from the Egyptians. Okay? So God remembered his promise, and so he gave Moses the charge to go and pick up the people. So in the story, we'll begin to know what that charge was. So God gave Moses what? What did God give Moses? The charge of what? He gave Moses what? The 10 Commandments?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Bella, do you agree? Okay. And so we have our 10 Commandments. They're written before you. You guys wrote them out, correct?
Yes.
All right. Very good, very good. And so, Faith, we're going to start with you, and you're going to tell me what are your 10 Commandments. So you have 5, and I believe, Bella, you have 5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. So, Faith, you want to read your 10 Commandments for me?
Yes. All right. Thou shalt not have any other gods. Remember the Sabbath. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You should not make idols. Do not lie on your neighbor or bear witness.
And what do you think that lying on your neighbor means? What do you think that means?
Just say, for instance, I did something,
Okay.
and I was like, Bella did it.
Very good. That's a good example on not bearing any false witnesses on your neighbor. And what do you have to say, Bella?
Uh,
Go on. What were you gonna say?
Lying on your neighbor is like you're lying to someone. It's like you're just saying, I didn't lie to you. She did it.
Awesome. Very good, very good. And so you have some commandments before you too, Bella. And so, can you read some of them to me? So, Faith, you want to help Bella read some of them? Yeah.
You shall not
Steal.
steal. You
Shall not
shall not
covet.
covet. Hmm? Olive.
Honor
Honor.
your mother and father.
Honor your mother and father.
Do not use the Lord's name in vain.
Do not use the Lord name in vain.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill.
Okay, so when it says honor your mother and father, what does that mean to you? What is God saying to you when He says honor your mother and father? Go ahead.
It's like you're honoring somebody. It's like, being respectful.
Okay.
It's like, it's just,
So what is honoring your mother and father? Is that like, respecting your mother and respecting your father?
yeah.
Yes, that's honoring your mother and father. Very good. And so I believe it says thou shalt not steal. What is stealing?
It's like you steal someone. It's like you steal something from someone.
Very good, right. You took something that didn't belong to you. And so that's called stealing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. All right. So Moses, as we know, was, he was chosen by God and he was given this charge, yes? And so Moses was given the 10 Commandments so that way he can let the people know to follow the 10 Commandments because that's what God wants. And so what do you think is important for us today that we have the 10 Commandments? You think it's important that we follow the 10 Commandments?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So some of the important things that I want you guys to know is, of course, we want to learn the 10 Commandments. We want to follow the 10 Commandments because it's good for us. We want to go to heaven, right?
Yes.
Because when we go to sleep for eternity, we want to wake up in heaven, right? You want to go to heaven? Yes, I know I want to go to heaven. And so we know that, God thinks that we're special, right? And so who is God? Yes?
God is like a special person
Okay.
that belongs to us,
He belongs to us or we belong to Him?
and we're special in His life. And God is a special person to us.
Awesome. And what do you think, Faith?
Elaborating on what you just said, God is our Savior.
Okay.
He sent His Son to die on the cross for us,
Very good.
and He rose on the third day
Awesome.
to save us
Okay.
and from our sins. And I feel like as we should honor Him because of what He has done.
Very good. That was an awesome demonstration of who God is. But God is the creator of the universe. So He made you, and He made you, and He made me. He made all of us. He made all the beautiful things in the world. And that's what God did. So we have a small little song. It's called, the song goes, He has the whole world in His hands. Do you remember that song?
Yes.
All right, you want to sing it a little bit? Let's go. He has the whole world in His hands. He has the whole world in His hands. He has the whole world in His hands. He has the mother and the father in His hands. He has the mother and the father in His hands. He has the sister and the brother in His hand. He has the sister and the brother in His hand. He has the auntie and the uncle in His hand. He has the whole world in His hand. He has a little tiny baby. In his hands, he has a little tiny baby. In his hands, he has a little tiny baby. In his hands, he has the whole world in his hands. Very good. That was awesome. Very good. So awesome. So we know that God has the whole world in his hands because he loves us and he cares for us so very much. Okay, yes, Bella?
And he loves us back.
Awesome. And so what are some of the things that you think God, how do you speak to God? Do you speak to God by prayer or how do you speak to God? Yes.
I like to bend on my knees, and I like to do this, and sometimes I like to bend my head right here, and I like to say other things to God that makes him feel happy.
Awesome. And what about you, Faith? How do you pray to God?
Well, not telling him what I want, but actually telling him what I need
Okay, very good.
and what I thank him for. Like, for instance, waking me up this morning and putting food on the table, clothes on my back, shoes on my feet, and a pillow under my head.
Very good. So God is a provider, right?
Yes.
And so in the same manner, God provided for Moses so that Moses can take his people out of Egypt. Because Moses wasn't sure how he was going to do that, but God gave Moses the instructions. God told Moses in Exodus chapter 14 and verse 16, he says, you know, the people came to a place where Moses wanted to take the people out from Pharaoh. And God said, the very rod that you have in your hand, take that rod and, you know, put it on the ground and it shall turn into a snake. And as well as it did turn into a snake. And so Pharaoh had his kinsmen to come. They dropped 2 of their sticks and 2 of their sticks turned into 2 snakes. And so Moses' snake ate their snake. And so the people still didn't believe that Moses was sent by God. But guess what? God helped Moses get the people out. So as the people was getting away from Pharaoh, Moses came into the sea, and he knew that they couldn't cross without God's help. So he needed to get across the sea. So God said, go ahead and trust me, because we have to learn how to trust God, right? Mm-hmm. Right, because God will clear the path for us. Yes?
And we trusted him, so he trusts us.
Well, we have to trust him, and we have to make sure that we believe in God, okay? So it was the Red Sea. So we're going to do a small demonstration here because God told Moses, he says, he told him to raise his staff and stretch his hand wide, right, over the sea, and the 2 waters divided so that the Israelites can go through and walk on dry land. So we're going to practice this today because we know that only God, right? Mm-hmm. Only God can make this happen for us. And so God is all powerful and he's all wonderful, right? Because he is special. He is the creator.